Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Surfside Recovery Podcast. My name is Brian Licata, and we just wanted to let you guys know that if you or anyone is struggling with addiction, to please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or visit us at surfside.org and all of our social media platforms.
Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We have Joe Shablowski. I pronounced that right?
Sure.
Did I?
I mean, if you were Polish, you would say Klebowski.
Oh.
But yeah,
how do you pronounce it?
Klebowski.
Klebowski?
Yeah.
So today we have Joe Klebowski. I've known Joe for a couple years. I think we met, you were a counselor at Gen Psych?
I think we met before that, actually. But
really?
Yeah.
Where did we meet before that?
When I was working for a different program. My bad, dude. I was working for a different program in Pennsylvania at that time.
Oh, BWR.
Yeah. And then,
I forgot
right,
that
you
were
toured
there.
me in the house, the first Surfside house.
Way in the beginning.
Yeah, and I was like, this is awesome. Like,
way in the beginning.
I want to surf. Like, I want to do these things.
And so we've known each other for a little while, and
Me and Joe just met.
Yep, you guys just met. We've
Turn this off.
We've got some similar views on recovery and that type of stuff, and Joe wanted to come down, and I said, sure, come down. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I felt really called to, and I'm not here to talk about, where I work or what I do, as much as I want to talk about the things that I've learned on my journey, my personal journey. And the truth is, I guess the question really comes. The question came up for me, honestly, when I was driving down here. Like, can I curse?
Please. Yeah,
Who the fuck are you to talk to anybody about this stuff? And the truth is, I'm nobody. I'm just a dude that's walking this path, and I'm hoping that I can get some people to walk with me. And like, if we have similar views, or if I can inspire some views, like, I'm cool with that. So who am I? I'm just a guy named Joe.
So, but you're more than a guy named Joe. So you were military.
No, I was law enforcement.
Law enforcement. So
Yeah.
tell us about that.
Okay, so I was a corrections officer for 7 years. While I was there, I did a lot of work with the gang intelligence unit. I did some work with the sort of like the it was like the SWAT team within the jail.
Sure.
I worked hallway security. I worked a lot of different units. I worked locked. I have a lot of experiences in the jail that were just eye-opening, And there was a time when I got really hurt, and I think I was like 24. I had my first back surgery from incidents that happened in the jail. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Herniated a disc, And
Like you were attacked or something like that.
Yeah, there was an incident within the jail that kind of got
Out of control.
Yeah,
Clearly.
Yeah.
So
And
was this like were you in max security prison, state?
I was in Middlesex County Department of Corrections.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So it was everybody's right off the street coming in. It was the first time I saw somebody kick dope.
Really?
Go through
In the jail?
And it's intense, man. Alcohol was the worst one.
Sure.
Yeah, I saw people with bugs all over them. Obviously not real, but delusions, hallucinations, full on DTs. And it was really eye opening. And I often want, here's the kicker, right? So we go to debrief after work at the bar, because that's what you do. That's what you're taught to do as a blue collar guy. And, this is what we do. We have no emotions. So we go to debrief at the bar after work, and we're like, why can't these guys get off the dope, as we're taking our shots and, popping our painkillers that our doctors gave us because we have all these stupid injuries, and Xanax for depression and whatever else. So it becomes this weird, like, us versus them mentality that's not true at all. It's all us. It's all us. We're all us. There is no us versus them. It's just we're all in different
But I'm sure it's like when you're in that type of setting, not counting the PTSD that's generated from it, it almost like you have to be, right? It's like you don't have to be, but we believe you have to be, right?
Right. Well, think about it from a spiritual point of view. I didn't know any of this at the time. I walked into that building one person and I left a different person. I left shut off. You had to shut everything off. And think about locking another human being, another living being in a cage 23 hours a day in lockup unit. And I worked the lockup unit for over a year. I watched grown men become shells of themselves. And that affected me. I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
That affects you. It really does. Working, visiting, stopping a father from hugging his son or his daughter. Let me tell you something. Nothing broke me down more than that. I get emotional thinking about it now.
Yeah.
Like I go right back to those moments. And there were times that I had to turn around so no one would see me like, freeze up and almost cry, But, yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to do that go against your nature to survive there. And what I mean by survive is survive emotionally, to be able to go back every single day and do it over and over and over, But anyway, I was injured again. My injuries ended up being so severe when I was 28 that they called me and told me I had to retire. And I have, like 7 herniated discs now and like 4 anchors in my shoulder. And they just said, you can't do this anymore, right? So at that time, I was so depressed. I didn't know.
You're not that old.
Right now I'm 36.
Yeah, you're younger than me. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. You look great.
Thanks.
It's that CrossFit.
It is CrossFit, yeah.
So I didn't know who I was, and I was super depressed, and my whole being, my whole personality, my whole what's the word I'm looking for?
Everything about you. Your department.
I was a corrections officer. Yeah. I was in law enforcement.
It's like your identity.
My identity. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. My identity was that, and that's all I knew. So what makes everything go away? Painkillers, and the doctor's giving them to me like candy. So,
especially with like the bolts,
the injuries,
in your shoulder.
Yeah. And you keep going back, and you're like, yeah, doc, I'm still in pain, and I was in severe emotional pain, and they made it all go away, and you add some beers and some shots on top of that, and it's time you're good to go. Now, what I didn't know was that this emotional, the hit that I was taking emotionally was just being magnified by the alcohol and the drugs, My marriage at the time was absolutely affected. My relationship with my kids, my family, my parent, everybody. It was just.
How many kids?
I have 2 kids.
2?
Yeah.
I know you have a girl, right?
Yeah, my daughter. She's 12.
She's the older one.
Yeah. Yep. My son's 6.
Yeah. That's so.
Right. And at the time, my son wasn't around, so it was my daughter and my ex-wife's daughter, my stepdaughter. And I felt nothing but sadness, depression, anxiety. And I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely suicidal, absolutely 100% suicidal. The thing we're on vacation, and I'm going to get kind of deep here because I really don't care. This is my story, and if it can help somebody else, that's fine. But I was on vacation in Long Beach Island. You think that would be a good time. And I'm standing, it was this huge house we had, and I'm standing like on the roof. You could get up there and there was like a jacuzzi.
Sure.
I'm standing on the roof by myself, and I'm like, it could be over real quick. Just real quick. And but do you really want your daughter to see your brain splattered all over the ground? And I'm serious. Like, these are the thoughts that are going through my head. And thank God I had a therapist at the time and I went through many, many, many therapists because none of them could relate to me. They wanted to hear my war stories kind of thing. And I found a therapist who specialized in PTSD and people in law enforcement. So it was a good fit, And the first thing, so I walk in her office and first thing I said to her is, because you're paranoid. You think everybody's out to get you. Yeah. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. So the first thing I said to her was, is this being recorded in any way, shape, or form? She goes, sit the fuck down. And she had me. She had me right there. And I was like, all right, cool, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for talking to me like a human being. So so I'm on the roof, and I call her, and I just, let it go, man. I just start crying. I'm like, I need help. First thing she asked me, where's your gun? I said, it's not with me. I'm on vacation. And I said, I'm dying. Like, I'm suffering. I'm dying. I'm just done. I'm done with this, with all this. And, we talked it out, and she, I obviously didn't jump, thank God. But I started realizing that it was either going to be live or die in that moment. And from that moment on, I chose live. And I started doing a lot of soul searching. This was like really the beginning of...
What year were we in, give or take?
This was 2011.
Okay.
So this was really the beginning of my spiritual journey, because at that time I was void. I didn't believe in anything. My ex-wife will still tell you I'm a hypocrite because I believe in,
in something now.
I believe in something now, yeah. You were the one who said don't do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. But... you know how that goes. But she's right. I had nothing. I believed in nothing. I had no sense of spirituality. And I felt it. I felt empty, absolutely empty. So it was at that time that I started really doing some soul searching and asking myself. I heard Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's like just a hero of mine, say, who do you want to be in the world? And I was like, what do you mean, who do I want to? Like, that makes a lot of sense. Not like what career, right. But like who? And I'm like, all right, who do I want to be? And it just kept coming to me. You know that like voice? Mm-hmm. And it kept saying like, help people. You need to help people, Joe. That's what makes you feel good. Like, help people. I'm like, well, how do I help people? I need help.
Now you were still like using pain pills and drinking and stuff at this time?
Yeah. I didn't know any better. I didn't know there was a world of sobriety.
Right.
I had no idea. If you would have caught me...
how can you?
Right. Well, where I came from, yeah. If you would have caught me 10 years ago and said people are sober, I'd be like, where? That's in the movies? Like, that's not real.
Yeah.
They're not really sober. Like, they drink, right? Like...
When also your view, your view of what an addict looked like was somebody off the streets of Patterson.
Absolutely.
Kicking dope.
Well, think about that. Think about the people that were coming into the jails, right? And that's exactly what it was. It's like somebody turned over a rock in New Brunswick, and I hate to say it, like, I don't think about it that way anymore. These are all people to me, But at the time, this mentality...
You only know what you know, yeah. You're only exposed to what
and meanwhile, like I said, we're doing the same thing with a different, tool.
Yeah.
So I said, you need to help people. I said, all right, cool. So how do I do that? And I'm like, all right, you need to go to school. Okay, how do I go to school? So I didn't know. I tried school when I was 19, but I was actually... selling drugs back then. I was living a whole different lifestyle. Lived a lot of lives, man. And it just didn't work out. Let's put it that way. So
selling drugs or going to school?
Both. Both. None of them. That's in the whole nother ball game.
Story, yeah.
Well, here's what I know.
Episode 2, we'll cover that.
Yeah, dude, God has had my back. Like the universe, God. All right, let me start by saying this. The universe, God, spirit, source, they're all the same thing to me. There is no difference. Every God that's in the different religions is all the same thing to me. I believe in this whole energy,
sure.
So I want to make that clear. So when I say God, don't get offended. It's whatever you believe in is what I believe in, because it's all the same thing to me. So I can tell you that God has had my back the whole ride. And I'm just realizing that very, very recently. So what happened was I said, I need to go to school. So how do I do that, right? Mm-hmm. So I drove onto Middlesex County campus. I wasn't supposed to be driving yet. I was still in a sling. And I walked onto the campus, and I tell this story a lot. So if you've heard it before, I apologize. I stopped this kid, and he had like earphones in, and he was like, like typical like millennial type of kid, It's
like 19 going to community college.
And I'm like 28, and I'm he got like kind of scared. And what is this guy tattooed? I had a long beard at the time. I looked like a mess. I looked like Ian. So I said to him, "Hey man," he's like, "What's up?" I said, "How do you sign up for this thing?" He's like, "What thing? Like what thing? Is there like a program for ex-prisoners?" And I'm like, but anyway, so I said, "How do I sign up? How do I get into a classroom?" So he said, "You got to go here." So I went there, and they told me, "You got to go here," and I went there, and they told me, "You got to go here." So I went there until I'm sitting in a classroom, and in that classroom, it was a history class. I fell in love. Like, I fell in love with learning. And I mean, if I'm to fast forward 5 years later, I'm at Rutgers sitting in a lobby getting a master's degree in social work. And I'm like, how'd that happen?
Did you finish that degree?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, I have my master's, yeah. Graduated.
Oh, we talk about your CADC.
CADC? I have
that's what you haven't finished.
Addiction studies. I finished all that.
Did you get the CADC?
No, I just got to take the test.
Yeah.
Test in hours.
Yeah.
That's a weird process too, by the way. But I'm in the process of that. So I re-engaged in that little licensing process.
Good, you
should. So I have all the addiction studies. I took the addiction classes and all that. But so in that 5 years, so many things changed in my life because I opened up to the universe. Like, I opened up to these things. I said, all right, I need change. I need something. This wasn't working. So in that 5 years, I started finding these like guides in my life, which was really weird because I never really had any positive ones before, you know? And it was like they would just come to me and they would teach me something. I'd be like, wow, that was really intense. Like, you really opened up a part of my mind, right? So some of them were professors, some of them were other people that I had met. Like, everything changed in that 5 years. Like, I got this education. My views on the world changed. Because trust me when I tell you, it's humbling to walk into a classroom.
I would assume got sober.
Of 19, I did, yeah. Of 19-year-olds, and they know everything about the world and nothing at all. Yeah. You know, and I had this whole different viewpoint.
It's like going to Surfside.
Pretty much, yeah.
Everybody knows everything except nothing.
Yeah. You know? So when I was in my bachelor's, when I was getting my bachelor's my senior year, my best friend overdosed and died. And he was going to wherever it was to get Ibogaine treatment. I had no idea what it was. And I'm like, he went and came back and died like one of the days he came back. And it kind of propelled me on this track of, substance abuse track. And I was in a class with actually Frank Greeneagle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was my professor, and he was teaching this class.
You should get Frank on.
You should, man. He's a good dude.
He reminds me of the one financial guy who's always screaming. Yeah. That's who he reminds me of.
I've never seen that many letters behind somebody's name too. Frank's like,
he's like alphabet soup behind
everything. What do you need? You could borrow letters from him. Yeah. And he kind of like became like a mentor, and he had a friend who wrote a book. His name was Eric. An American's Resurrection. It's an amazing book about bipolar disorder and addiction and everything, like real life, like stuff. And I read the book. I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it's kind of like, steered me in the direction of getting into substance abuse, substance use disorder, addictions. And I walked in, so I got into the advanced standing addictions classes with my master's. And while I was doing my master's, and I walk into the classroom and I see, first off, there's nobody in social work that was, at that time, there was nobody in social work that looked like me or talked like me. And I was like just this odd, like the odd man out.
Usually I was talking about that with a parent last night, and it's usually, right, in the social work classes, I mean, in my bachelor's, not my master's, definitely not my master's. But in my bachelor's, there were two guys, me and this guy, Sean, and the rest were women.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
And, like even over at the Lighthouse over here, I mean, there are no male counselors. Not even men, let alone, with tattoos and things of that nature. Not that you need to have a tattoo to be, a prerequisite for anything. But,
yeah.
It is. It's just one of those things.
It's hard to find. So I walk into this classroom and I see this guy that looks just like me. And I'm like, oh, we're going to be friends. and he had been sober. He was, he was in recovery from heroin for, I think at the time it was like 5 years, something like that. And here's the thing, I start feeling my insides weren't matching my outsides either. I'm doing all these things. I'm having such success. I'm doing great in school, and all right, I'm an addict, so I have to have a 4.0 GPA, and I have to have like extra. So I see this guy, and we start hanging out, and he says to me, "Hey, what if you what if you didn't drink tonight?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, what if I didn't?" And I've been drinking a few beers every night because I'm a beer connoisseur now. Like, this is how I made sense of it. I drink expensive beers, Meanwhile, I'm drinking 6 IPAs every night. It's crazy. I was fat, I was overweight, I was bloated, I was disgusting, I was lazy. And
but you weren't like those guys in jail.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I said, yeah, what if I didn't? And I went home that night and I wasn't going to drink, and I drank. And I said, I think I might have a little bit of a problem here. So I made a plan. And my friend's name is Leonard. Leonard and I started going to the gym. And that was my plan. My plan was to, when I wanted to drink, I would go to the gym. So I would find myself at the gym at 4 a.m. Thank God it was like a 24-hour gym. And it really helped me get over that part of it. The painkillers I gave up a little while before that.
How'd you do that? Was that just cold turkey?
Yeah, on my couch a few times. See, that's the thing. I was taking these things and nobody knew.
Yeah, I didn't know. When I first started doing them, I had no idea that you had withdrawal symptoms when you stopped.
Neither did I. I had no idea what it was. The doctor, you get hurt. And I've been taking these things for years. Mm-hmm. Like, 24 when I first got injured. And the doctor gives you these pills and you can work. And oh my God, you can work 16-hour shifts and not even feel it. You feel pretty good about it too. They gave me like energy,
Right.
And it made everything okay. So
I think your story actually is really I think it's really interesting because we end up with a lot of families, they don't want to talk about addiction in their family because what they think addiction looks like is, right, the guy that you were dealing with while you were a corrections officer.
Bro, I just told my story for the first time like last year to my family. My family had no idea about any of this.
And you just got
They
lucky.
just knew I didn't drink anymore.
Yeah.
They were, Joe's in shape now. He just doesn't want to drink. I got lucky in the fact, what do you mean lucky?
Well, you got lucky in the fact where you were able to put down the substances.
It's not, trust me when I tell you, it's not the way. Like, it's, it's next to impossible. Yeah.
And I say that too. Like, the way I got sober is not necessarily the easiest way either. It just so happened to be that way. But you are really lucky in the sense where you were able to kind of like stumble into recovery, literally, not necessarily because you were like, oh, I have a problem. It was like little by slow, you were, what a lot of people call like a functioning addict or a functioning alcoholic.
Yeah.
And, eventually one thing led to another, and, you started to eliminate.
Yeah. I thank God every day for meeting
But
Leonard.
it's like, in the big picture, it doesn't happen like that.
No.
Like, it really isn't.
No, not at all. It's almost like it's almost like, I don't know. It reminded me of like the Dr. Bob Bill W.A. because this guy came into my life.
12-stepped you.
Yeah. And he not only 12-stepped me, but he lived in North Jersey, like North Jersey. And Rutgers is in New Brunswick. So he ended up staying at my house for like a year, and I was cool with it because we became like really good friends. Mm-hmm. And I was going through, that was when I was separated and going through a divorce and everything. He was like, he like I said, this
really
is one
helpful.
of my best friends now. Yeah. And we did like everything together, and I thank God for him because that's what really, propelled me into
he really was
recovery.
your sponsor.
Well, yeah, he is now. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Hey, hold on. What do we have for time, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
We're almost at a half hour.
Okay. So we should probably wrap it up soon. But go ahead.
Okay. How much time do we have?
40 minutes would be tops.
Oh, shit. Man, I didn't even talk about any of the shit I wanted to talk about. So he was really good for it. I needed him, you know. I needed that to happen. And there's so much more to that story. Like moving forward, that wasn't even it. Like that's not, everything changed. No, after that was spiritual bottom after spiritual bottom after spiritual bottom. When I realized maybe I need to do some step work, you know, cause at first you get this ego thing about it. You're like, I got sober and, I'm off the drugs and alcohol and, why do I still feel this way? And they say it in the big book, and I didn't know anything. I had a big book and never read it. And they say it in the big book that, you know, restless, irritable, and discontent. The further you get away from the bottle and the drugs, the closer you get to that. And that was exactly my truth. You know, relationships would happen, and, you know, I would make, when I talk about spirituality, like, I always looked outside of me for spirituality. I always looked outside of me for something to fill the hole, right? And whether it was women, relationships, the cross, a church, you, Leonard, a friend, it didn't matter what it was. It was some, even, you know, I've seen people do it with yoga in the gym. And
so what was the thing that kind of changed to get you into step work and things like that? Was there like a particular event or something like that?
Yeah. A breakup.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a really emotional low. Hurt. Pain. Pain is what got me to say, all right, we're back where we started. Like, something else needs to change. We don't have this coping mechanism anymore. And it's been a while since we've done that. And we're not going back to, like, it's just not an option anymore, you know? But pain is my biggest motivator for anything. It's I think it's everybody's.
So what would you tell, like, so let's say somebody is new in recovery and they're watching and they kind of feel like, you know, they're kind of in that spot. Like, what would you tell them to do? What would you, like, if you had to give them some advice?
Oh boy, I would say it's such an easy concept and a hard lesson to learn. Is that everything that you need is inside of you already? Okay, we're all, and you know, all the books preach about it. We're made in God's image. We're made from the energy of the universe. We're made from spirit, from source, and we carry that with us all the time. When you're able to slow your mind down, through meditation or prayer or whatever it is, and you're able to actually listen to that voice. That voice is telling you some real stuff. You know, I've learned more through meditation than I have through anything else. So what would I tell them? I would say, listen. I would say, look for the clues. You know, the universe is always giving you these clues when you're open to them. You just have to see them. And it's interesting because this really hit me hard. A few months ago, I'm walking through the mall and I'm in this pain, like this, you know. And I heard this guy say, I was listening to this guy, Kyle Cease. He was a comedian who became this like motivational guy. And he said, I'm in pain and I love it. Okay, because pain is an opportunity for change and growth. And so I'm walking through the mall, I'm in pain. And I'm like, yeah, Joe, you're in pain, but you gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta just look around, see signs. And I'm just watching people walk with their heads in their cell phones. And I had this really amazing revelation that, oh my God, like that person just walked by the love of their life and they didn't even notice her or him, right? Like that person just walked by a really great conversation and they didn't even notice because they're in their cell phones. So what I'm saying is keep your eyes open. Listen to the messages. Listen to the people in the rooms. I mean, the rooms are just such a great baseline for any type of change or spirituality. And just to relate to other people, So I think, it's all the answers are in you already. You just got to listen. And there's a lot of outside messages that come to us that we miss because we're just preoccupied with Facebook or Twitter or TikTok. Which is
you on TikTok?
Nope, I am not. I am right now detoxing from social media.
Are you on TikTok, Andrew? No.
I have one. Yeah.
Is it good?
I don't really use it. I just downloaded it.
I'll tell you what. You want to waste some time? You want to waste some time? We call it the rabbit hole. It's like Alice in Wonderland, man.
TikTok is it really?
I was a big Vine guy back in the day.
Yeah, it's kind of like
Vine.
It's kind of like
it's
Vine.
pretty much Vine. Yeah,
the 6-second video.
Yeah, it's like really short.
Yeah, but you can
funny.
You can like. I mean, I think you could do it with Vine too, but you can like edit stuff and upload it back over, and they have this really cool green screen thing too, where you can pretty much put anything behind you.
Oh, that's neat.
Like you can like take a picture and then you can put your face and then the picture like right behind it from your phone. It's pretty cool technology.
Who's the author? There's an author who talks about with social media how we basically use social media to portray this idea that we're like out doing all these great things, but the truth is all we're doing is sitting on our
phones. Think about that.
Yeah,
really. And that's my point exactly, is you're not living life. You're not experiencing everything around you if you're in your phone.
You're too busy trying to get the picture,
Yeah, like I do it all the time. Dude, I've seen some beautiful pictures. Think about the pictures you've seen. None of it's real. There's filters, and there's like the person smiling in that picture a second later is not smiling, because it's for that.
We see it, and I'm sure you see it up in your area, in the beach areas, people doing like the photo shoots on the beach, and then it's like, take the picture, look at the picture, take the picture, look at the picture, take the picture, look at the picture, takes the picture, and it's like, meanwhile, there's like all this other stuff happening.
And the beauty of that moment is missed. The beauty of when I have kids, the beauty of my kids running around and saying, Daddy, look at me, Daddy, look at me. Hold on, kid, I'm taking a picture. I can't. I've done it. Like I'm telling you, I've been that guy where I'm in my phone or I'm watching, looking at Facebook or something, and I'm looking at everybody else's fake story, and I become even more irritable because they're on the beach somewhere and I'm at work, and it's just all an illusion. And the truth is, Ian, all we have, my truth, I should say, all we have is this moment. Nothing else is real, because the past is our perception of things that happen. The past are all stories that we tell ourselves based on our experiences. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. The future hasn't happened yet. It's based on the stories you told yourself from the past. So it's like future, past, none of it's really real. So what do we have is this moment right now. And in this moment, I choose to not be, and I probably shouldn't say this because this is going on social media, but I choose to not be in social media, in my phone, which is not my God, right? And I choose to be in the world around me. And I'm not perfect at it, by no means. But I'm more aware now, I'm being more aware, more in the moment, more present. There was this job that we do, I'm cooking dinner for my kids, and I'm working with somebody on the phone for whatever it was, a referral for treatment or whatever. And that exact thing happened. And my son is saying, Dad, hold on, son. Hold on, kid. I'll be with you in a sec. I'm not going to get that second back with him. This kid shot up last year. He gained like 8 pounds in a year, grew. I'm never going to get that moment back. And it breaks my heart because, yesterday he was a baby, right? He's trying to tell me that he lost a tooth. What a shit. What a shit I am for telling him to hold on. How excited he was. And that hit me really hard. That hit me really, really hard. And the truth is, all these other things that we find importance in, we are expendable to all these other things. I'm not expendable to him. I'm his only dad. We only had that moment at that time. So it was really, like I said, and I've learned these lessons through pain, like I said. Mm-hmm. So, oh man, as much as it hurts and as much as it sucks saying, I kind of like welcome the opportunity for pain. I don't want pain, but I welcome the opportunity
to go.
Yeah. And think about that guilt. Like you feel guilt. Guilt gives you the opportunity to forgive yourself. Like I could go back and forth with any of the things that trouble us or give us pain in our lives. Fear. What is fear? Fear gives you the opportunity to be brave, to move past something, you know?
So I think really, the message, I think the message is really like stay open and be receptive and pay attention to what's going on. And when you find yourself, in graduate courses, for addiction and you're getting blasted every night, maybe you should pay attention to what you're learning.
Yeah.
Because the universe is clearly trying to tell you something, right? If you find yourself in treatment over and over and over and the therapists keep recommending that you go do the 12 steps, maybe you should try going to do the 12 steps.
Agree.
I think that your story is really profound, and I appreciate you coming out and talking about it.
Yeah,
I think that sometimes we get caught up in the idea that everybody's lost everything before they get sober, and it's just or they've been to 7,000 treatment centers, and the reality of it is that's just not the truth.
I'll be honest with you, man. I did lose. I lost everything that was important because I lost my peace of mind.
Sure, and and I
but
think
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and we get caught up in not so much the emotion, but the physical, and right, and it's been good to have you out, and I'm glad you came. And,
thanks, man.
And thank you, Brian. You have any closing thoughts, or?
No, yeah. I mean, the only thing I could say is I heard a lot about like kind of changing your perception in the way.
It's all about perception.
Yeah, it's all about perception. I had a conversation with a good friend of mine last night, and that's all we talked about, really.
Yeah.
Just changing your mindset and how you're looking at these situations.
Oh, here's something. Don't be closed off to these conversations either. I find with a lot of guys, they get like nervous when you start talking about something that's not surface.
Yeah.
They get like, oh, I can't, it's emotions in there. I can't talk. Oh, don't be scared, man. Like this is what's real.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that all comes down to surrounding yourself with the right people.
Agreed.
That's really what that is for me. So, but thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate it.
Bro.
Awesome.
Appreciate you guys.
As always, if you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out to Surfside. You can give us a call at 609-709-4205 or get us on the web at surfside.org.